It's time to party. Yeah? Sound all right? Works for me, Bob. Works for me. Works for me. Works for me. Work for you, Cosmo? Good. Good. So I was just talking to your dad, man. I was like, dude, your kid's coming and hanging out. He's like, that guy's into everything. I'm like, yeah, dude. Exactly. In a good way, he said it. He said it in a good way. Alrighty, Aphrodite. Feel sprinkled out. I'm okay with that. It's like cooties. Don't get too close. It's okay. I'm down with boundaries. All right, y'all. Welcome Thursday night. Yeah, that's what we're doing. But that is just what we do. Randy's here. Group can start. Haven't seen Nate in a minute, so to see Nate. Sky in the background, just shucking it up. I love it. All right, y'all. So anybody that doesn't know or have seen this face for the first time here, my name's Joe, and you are at the Sit.Feel.Heal Meditation Center. This is the Sit.Feel.Heal Meditation Group. Glad you're here. You made it. You are already winning. Yeah. Curiosity is the only requirement, if any. Go ahead and settle in. If anytime you want to get a drink, tea, water, it's up to my left. It's the front of the room. There's a restroom right next to it. Feel free to go outside and at any time and stretch your legs, go in the courtyard. Yeah, make yourself comfortable. You usually start with a little arriving meditation or practice, get into a little reflection, conversation maybe, and then do a little stretch break after that and get into some meditation ourselves, some guided practice. Always time for questions, reflection. So anytime that you want me to slow down on something or, yeah, let me know. Cool. So just taking a moment to arrive. You made it through the door. No longer in traffic or whatever was going on. Just feeling the body in the seat. Maybe taking a look around. Letting the head move. Checking out your space. If you do make eye contact with somebody, you can give a head nod. Just a head nod. You don't have to play look away. And always the option here is to leave your eyes open or closed, whatever feels supportive for you right now. Sometimes just a soft gaze out the window or towards the floor has been helpful for me. And just taking a few moments here to shift that awareness inward. Whether your eyes are open or closed, just noticing. Whatever you notice. If you notice a busyness of the mind, you can just acknowledge busyness, mind, busy. If the mind's tired. Maybe there's a similar energy with the body. The body's still a little bit of energy in there, kind of tired. And without trying to make anything different here, just checking into what else is present, noticing, shifting awareness. this body in the seat. What does it feel like to be sitting? Noticing these points of contact, feet on the floor, body being held in the seat, the chair, the cushion. The sensation of touch, the way the air is connecting with your skin or the clothes gently resting on your skin. Effortless awareness. Hands resting in the lap. This breath, just breathing. No need to change the way you're breathing. Just notice. We feel the breath coming in, going out. Maybe this is the first time today you've brought attention here to the breath, the body. Inviting any places that are still holding on, bracing from the day. And just inviting these places to soften, to arrive. If it feels okay, nothing to protect right now. Awareness of the sounds in this moment. The busyness outside still. And the spaciousness inside. And the sounds coming and going. It's taste and smell. And seeing, even with the eyes closed, shapes, colors. Mental images left over from a thought, because thoughts are still happening. Just as the heart beats, the breath breathes, the mind thinks. We don't judge the heart for beating, the breath for breathing. So maybe right now we can not judge the mind when we notice it's just thoughts. Maybe just acknowledging, thinking, letting go, letting be. And just shifting awareness with a gentle invitation to rest. The breath, the feet, the seat, the sounds. You get to choose. You get to choose where to rest. And arrive each moment an opportunity to arrive, to begin again. And before we transition here, I want an invitation to just contemplate a question, a reflection of what brought you to this practice. What was it that inspired you maybe to come tonight? Or just this practice in general? What are you curious about? Is there a desire or just curiosity. And we can just hold that lightly as we return to the feet, the seat, the sounds, the breath, and the spirit of coming together tonight and practicing together. I invite us to do a few breaths together, 3 breaths. On the count of 3, just breathing in through the nose and letting the air fall out the mouth. So on 3, 1, 2, 3, in, and let it go. Again, a little bit slower this time. In, like you're filling up a balloon, and let it go. And this one, maybe a little more air out, push it out. One more really slow, filling up that balloon, filling up the whole body from the scalp to the soles of the feet, and hold it just for a moment. And on the out breath, make some noise. Letting the breath breathe on its own, checking in again with the feet, the seat, the sounds. As you hear the bell, just gently bringing your awareness into the room. A stretch, a movement, maybe even a pat on the back or a self high five. Good stuff. You did it. Yeah, Randy gave a little hug tap. That little hug tap is good too. I don't think we give ourselves enough props for doing this. Coming here for on a Thursday night, busy day. It's like, I like to give myself props, even if it's 5 minutes. Like, you took 5 minutes, dude. It's cool. Yeah. So that contemplation, that reflection of what inspired you, what brought you to this practice, or even just tonight. And when I say what brought you here, I'm not saying the Toyota Corolla or the Honda Accord. It's like, what inspired you to come or try this thing called meditation that, I'm curious. It's a silent night. So, yeah, please. Yeah.
I feel like I'm going in 100 directions, and I'm up there, and this anchors me.
Nice.
So I need a little anchoring.
Great. That brought you need a little anchoring. So for tonight, I wanted some anchoring feeling all over the place. Yeah. Anybody?
Back to myself.
Back to yourself. Yeah. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Please. Self-care. Yeah. Please. Be less in my own way. Yeah. I know that one. Tripping over myself all the time. Yeah. Who else brought you here? Curiosity. Only requirement. Nailed it. Yeah. I feel like it's important to reflect on that, because I don't think we do enough. Because honestly, the thing that brought us here, sometimes it's the pain that brought us to this practice. I know for me, and I speak to it, the pain of just being agitated and angry all the time is so painful, not just for myself, but everybody around me, So that agitation, and it got me desperate enough to try this thing called meditation. It's like, okay, what's the formula to get rid of this? And I was super pissed when there was no formula. But there was just curiosity. What is this anger? Why? Why anger? But more importantly, what? What is really happening? Most of it, the curiosity was made up stories in my mind, made up things that I was upset about, And when I let the anger kind of settle through these simple practices of just returning to feet, the seat, the sounds, the breath, over and over, noticing where I was holding the anger, we notice, if you pay close attention, notice it's just energy stored. And the why was something that had nothing to do with anger, something deeper. The what? Worry, low self-esteem, not good enough. How am I being seen? That was a sticky one. Didn't want to see that. But even that, I get to sit with that and be curious about that and hold space for it. Meet it with compassion, a little bit more skillfully. And now anger, agitation is my root guru, best teacher. When I'm feeling that way, I know it's something deeper, right? And most of the time I can catch it before it breaks into my blame thrower and I'm blaming everybody for the way I feel. It's like, all right, dude, what's up, And sometimes it's a valid agitation, anger, right? It's not a wrong emotion, but to be clear so that we can respond in a wise way, because I think that's very important with this practice. Not just, I can't be angry, I got to be compassionate all the time. I'm a Buddhist, don't you know? I meditate. It's a spiritual doormat, It's like, we don't want that either. So the point with that is like that question of what brought you here usually is your greatest teacher, is our greatest teacher. And this practice of mindfulness, what we practice here, this direct experience, moment to moment experience, our own personal experience. How are we experiencing each moment? Because we don't do that. It was never taught. Most of the time, the only time we're aware really is when it's painfully aware. And then we're thinking of like, how do we escape this? How do we get out of it? So this, yeah, you had something, Sky?
Well, just listening to you talk, it took me a while to come to this because I think initially coming to meditation, I had more of that sort of experience than after coming here for a while. I think I realized that a lot of it is just kind of rest.
Rest, yeah.
Like having a structured time that is not based around productivity.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to a podcast a long time ago, I don't even know what it was, but a woman was talking about rest as resistance.
Rest as resistance?
Yeah,
Interesting, huh?
kind of like a fight against everything that's always telling us that we need to be productive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we can have something to show for it.
Mm-hmm. It's demonized, lazy, right? Yeah. Total opposite. Yeah. So it's counterintuitive, and it's not our fault. It's like it's the water we're swimming in, it's the air we breathe. So this is like, it takes a lot of courage to come here and even try. Like, even if this is the only time you practice, I think that's okay. With the intention of that this effort that we put into our practice, it takes some effort as well. Not a rigid effort like we're trying to achieve something, but with anything, it was just my son, being a musician myself, like I have a recording studio, I'm in band, so like, of course, like my kid's gonna be a rock star. I got him every killer guitar, everything, and then not anything that he wanted to do at all. Yeah. But the first thing, this is kind of side note, but I bought all these guitars. Basically, I was buying guitars that I'd be stoked on. It's an excuse. I'm getting it for Echo. But when he finally said, picked one up, he's like, it feels weird. So he started playing left-handed. And now he plays left-handed guitars. And I got him all right-handed guitars. Anyway, that's a side note. So I got some good guitars left. But today he was he learns he's really talented, but only, it's like any of us, if maybe not any of us, but like for me, it's I need to be interested in it, you know. And I don't learn by structure. I learned quite the opposite. I learned by unstructured mistakes. What doesn't sound good, and that's how I taught myself guitar. But he started a band, and his friend is like super talented. Like he's been playing guitar since he was in kindergarten, so he's over there doing these. My kids are like I could know a Green Day song. It's like, and I'm so stoked on that. But my point being is that, he feels he's comparing himself to his friend that's killing it. So it kind of kept him from playing guitar for a long time. So he has the courage to just do it with his friend. And now to tell him, I go, I didn't learn guitar until I was 21, and I just picked up a guitar and I just started strumming it and kept strumming it. First it was down, 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 down. It's like the easiest song. That's the one you learn, right? You learn that one first, Nate? No? Smoke on the Water? It's like the easiest one. And I was so stoked to learn that. But back to this effort, it's the same thing. We want to not get good at something, but whatever that the groundedness that you come here to get, or that desire that got you here, that you're finding a little bit of peace, it's the effort. And the effort is not like a grasping at something, it's just showing up. First, it's just showing up, having the curiosity and the courage to come to a group more than just reading about it. And I use a word for this practice, like we just did, a reflection or contemplation, like contemplating. And I'm kind of curious with y'all, like when I say those words, reflect or contemplate, what does that mean to you? What do you hear? Do you think it's in line with the practice? What do you think contemplation or reflection means?
Just to think back on your experience.
Think back on your experience, yeah. Why would that be helpful?
Isn't that how we learn?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, it is. Sometimes, unless we're stuck in it, unless we're stuck in the experience. And that's the hard part about reflection. But reflection is a huge part of it. That's why that reflecting on what brought us here, because we forget, right? And we're just coming here for rest, but there was something here. And then when we can reflect, especially if we've been practicing for a while and we're not feeling like there's progress or anything, or like, what's the point? You can see that there has been movement. There has been little things, mundane shifts in our relationship with ourselves. And that's what it's about, is having a more skillful, compassionate relationship with ourselves in our experience, rather than just reacting or escaping from every experience. And that's the context, basically, in the basics of the Buddhist message, the Buddha's message, right? Not this big esoteric. No, I love it. It brings the curiosity of emptiness. We talk about emptiness and these bigger ultimate reality things of, no separateness kind of thing. That's in there for sure. But for me, I don't think it's helpful to try to live there or achieve that, right? We can connect with that, but we don't dismiss the relative reality that we live in when we walk out of these doors, or we get off the seat or the cushion, right? Because that's just as important, if not more important. How are we in relationship with others, with this life? Not even just people, just life, the traffic, the things that we're not getting, the things we didn't want to get. So it's this contemplation piece of our practice, is that the mind's going to think no matter what. Like, for me, I thought it was about clearing the mind from thinking. And I was, again, pissed off and bummed out. And what's the point when I found that it's not about that? It's actually about turning your awareness towards the mind in those thoughts when you have the capacity. right? And we can find that capacity and that spaciousness when we're just bringing our awareness back to the feet, the seat, the sounds, the breath over and over again. We're constantly distracted, just coming back. And over time, there is spaciousness, but we don't hold on there either. We contemplate, we reflect, we contemplate those memories or those things, those thoughts that have a hook, an emotional hook. But can we be the observer rather than the one that is in it? Can we sit with the part of us that was wounded, not the wound itself? There's a difference, because that's what happens with reflection. We get stuck in the circumstance when we're reliving it. But can we sit with that part of us that experienced it with compassion, with kindness, with understanding? And then, the Buddha talked about this in the four truths. The first truth, this understanding that, that there's suffering. This word suffering, the word dukkha actually is like the Buddhist language, dukkha. And dukkha is translated in a bunch of different ways. If, when I don't speak to Buddhism a lot because I feel like, it was a long game of telephone. These teachings were taught 500 years after the Buddha's death. So I'm like, there's some like static in there somewhere. Somebody's like throwing some shit in there just to serve themselves. But the core message is there. I can understand dukkha if I think of dukkha because it sounds like dookie. And it sounds like shit. And I'm like, oh, dukkha, the shit moments when you're just like, shit, damn, this feeling, shit is so everywhere. That's the suffering, or it's translated sometimes as dissatisfaction or distress. So we just come to that truth that's what brings us here a lot of times, is that distress, that stress, that dis-ease. I kind of like that more than suffering, because suffering is such a big word. I definitely had a lot of discomfort, and some people would call it suffering throughout my life, some abuse, but suffering seems really big, especially coming from a cis white hetero dude up here. There's some privilege in that, even though so. But there's definitely a lot of dissatisfaction. There's a lot of distress. And then the second truth is realizing that the cause of it was made up a lot of times, was of my own doing a lot of times, right? The suffering was wanting it to be different than it was. Not so much just circumstances, but the way I felt, the way I am, who I am, what I am. And that's what is the cause of our suffering. So even practice, meditation can be a cause of suffering if we're coming here to change something about ourselves, to fix something. I mean, change happens, of course. This is a new behavior maybe, and it can create more skillful behaviors. But it's being with that discomfort, that part of us that is just like, we want to leave it at the door so bad. I wanted to get rid of that anger so bad. So much suffering around it. But then becoming the greatest teacher. Now I want to rewind a little bit as I kind of talk about these four truths. I don't really speak to, I call myself Buddhist a lot of times, but I like to honor these traditions as well, But I think Buddha is a person, and I think all these like spiritual icons, like Buddha wasn't a Buddhist. It was a dude named Siddhartha Gautama, right? It was a projection. And what Buddha means is the awakened one is awake, hella woke. You know, woke up to the causes and conditions of his discomfort. And it wasn't through the way that everybody at his time was telling him he had to do, the ascetics, where they would lay on beds of nails, or, you know, like talking about the last week, like, the last thing he did was just not eating, you know, not eating at all. And he's just sitting there and he's basically dying until somebody goes, yo, dude, eat some rice, you know? Yeah. And he wasn't trying to create Buddhist, you know. His teachings, I don't think, are commandments. I don't think they're supposed to be like doctrines or anything. Even this Eightfold Path, when we speak, if anybody knows about the Eightfold Path, and this is where the contemplation piece comes in of this Eightfold Path, and we can talk about that a little bit. You know, and paraphrasing, but, you know, quote or rumored is the quote, or the Buddha said this, is like, don't believe me, try it for yourself. Don't write it down. It's supposed to be experience. There's a teaching in this, one of the scriptures, Kalama Sutta. It encourages people not to accept something merely because it comes from tradition, scripture, reasoning, or even respect for a teacher, but to recognize for themselves whether qualities lead towards harm or well-being. So this is where that contemplation part comes. Is this thought leading to more harm, or is it leading to well-being? You know, even trying to fix something in the mind, or like figure something out that could cause more discomfort, dis-ease. So we point towards we guide the mind towards what is, you know, bringing a little bit more of spaciousness, a little bit more ease, like a healthy desire. Because the truth of it is that things don't always go the way we want. Things change. We don't get what we want. People perceive us a certain way. And we even the things that are good, right? We grasp onto them because they're fleeting, and then we're suffering because they go away. You know, so we don't even appreciate the happiness and joy in our life, really. You know, constantly searching for that. So this practice even invites us to slow down and smell the flowers, kind of thing, right? So when we can see this is just a normalizing thing that we all suffer. We all experience this, right? There's a sense of surrender, not in a giving up, but almost for me is like the surrender, and what follows is hope, right? That, okay. And when we come here, when I come to groups and hear other people, that's why I like asking questions and hearing y'all, so we can share an experience. I'm like, am I alone in this? You know, it's a big part of it. So that truth that shit happens, dukkha happens, right? And then that second truth that there are conditions that contribute to the suffering. It's not necessarily random a lot of times. And like I said, it's most of the time it's self-induced. Wanting, grasping, avoiding. I mean, you don't have to show your hand, but I suffer from addiction. I know craving. I know that. I know that fucking, I call it tana. Tana is the word, the Buddha word, and it's thirst. Yeah, it's translated as craving, but another translation is thirst. And I'm like, I know that thirst. The avoiding, the resisting, the fear, the habits, the stories that we make up in our mind. I was just, I feel like the more we put ourselves out there, the more that we, sometimes come into our own and feel there's maybe some confidence around like what we are, what we're doing, and putting ourselves out there. It's risky because more ways to be judged, right? And I was making up some big stories. I have been for a couple months of like how I'm perceived, since this place is opened, and I'm getting some more attention and shit. And it's like, and none of it was good stories. It was how, yeah, and those same old stories as I used to hold on to a long time ago, before my practice, before knowing that there were stories. And I thought I healed that part of my mind, right? Had some confidence and in trust within myself. But no, that story was there and it felt so true, And I was talking to a dear friend yesterday that was he's a good friend of mine, brought me actually into this practice. And it's the first thing he said. It's just like, sounds like a familiar story, bro. I'm like, yeah, shit, totally right. That's why friends on the path are really important. So these causes of our own suffering, right? Whether, however somebody perceives me or doesn't perceive me is like none of my business. As long as I'm authentic and I can, living in my truth. So instead of trying to control or, trying to really control what cannot be controlled, change, conditions outside of ourself, the only thing we're responsible for, the only thing we own is the way we show up. So we can become curious. This is where this contemplative part comes in. Be curious about your experience. Be curious about those stories. What is true? Whose voice is this? I would always ask, like, whose voice is this in my head? Same friend that I contacted yesterday when I was first practicing, and these stories were loud, and I was so full of self-judgment and expressing everything that, how that my mind was talking to me. And I'm like, this is gnarly, dude. And he looks at me point blank and he's like, bro, would you hang out with somebody that talked to you like that? I'm like, hell no. And he's like, why are you? I'm like, fuck, I didn't know I had a choice, right? So we kind of call bullshit on that story. We call bullshit on that voice. And we can actually honor that voice that maybe served a purpose. At some point, I don't know what purpose that was. So when we're curious and we start turning towards our experience in this way, contemplating experience, seeing the behaviors, the things that are creating more suffering in our life, adding to the pain that is inevitable, the conditions can change. The suffering could ease, can soften, and sometimes go away. So if there's conditions that, create suffering, there's also conditions that can ease the suffering, right? So what are those? And it's one of what I was just saying, being curious, our experience, what is true. And when we don't know what is true, just come back to what is true. What do you know to be true in your direct experience right now? What is true is my feet are on the floor, body's in the seat. I can make up a lot of stories of what y'all are thinking about me right now, right? Some of them might be true, but I don't know. But I know what's true. I can feel a little breeze. I can hear all the stories in my mind of like, what's making sense here. And when we can start seeing these patterns of the mind, these habits of the mind, that's when we can start changing. That's when we can start shifting and pointing in a new direction of asking that question. Is this leading to the thing that brought us here, that we want, that desire to ease or spaciousness or you say the anchor or grounding? Or is it just feeding that same old suffering? And we begin to have choice. We find that in the spaciousness, not in the reactivity of the mind. And we can see that there's another way possible. There's a way out of the suffering. There's a way out of our suffering by relating to our experience in a different way. It doesn't have to be gushy, doesn't have to be perfect practice or anything. It's just relating to what is arising in a different way. Maybe just questioning it. Maybe that's it right now. Maybe bringing some kindness, maybe bringing some compassion. And that's where this fourth truth it's through this path of the Buddha called this eightfold path, these 8 factors. And, there's different lineages that will say that this is the absolute only way to liberation or, what's the word I was looking for? I like thinking of words like these spiritual words, like even nirvana or dukkha. Nirvana is a funny word to me. Everybody know what Nirvana, not the band, good band, but Nirvana, know what Nirvana means, or in the context of this spiritual realm? We've heard the word, yeah. Blissful place or something, yeah. So you can Google the shit or AI it or whatever you want to do, but it's actually a culinary term. It's a term for taking a pot of boiling water off the flame, And I kind of like thinking of that because I could see the Buddha just being like nirvana or whatever. It's like chilling out, cooling down. The heat, the flame is these, the poisons, what they call it, greed, the hatred, delusion, that, the greed of the, not that greed, we need more stuff, but like needing ourselves to be different. The hatred of the way we feel or who we are. And the delusion that we have control over anything else but our response to this moment right now. That's the flame. So chill out. And this path is sila, samadhi, panna. So sila is ethics. We start looking towards like, how do we want to live our life? Through our speech, through our livelihood, through how we carry ourselves in this world. We get in line with that. And that not as commandments, but as a North Star. Is this leading towards that, how we want to live, right? I'm just kind of breaking down these 3 factors of sila, samadhi, panna, but it's basically ethics, wisdom, or true knowing of experience, and practice. So this is kind of what we look at. What are we actually doing? And what are our behaviors? What are the behaviors that are leading towards where we want to be, right? And we always, it gets foggy and the North Star gets covered up and we fall off the path sometimes, but it's the path is always there. How do we want to live? How are we living, right? It could be simply as for me, it was just not picking up, not grabbing something to escape. Sometimes it's my phone now, right? Being with, even if it's just for a moment, like, all right, what's going on? Why do I want to just fucking doom scroll right now? And just checking in with it for a moment and then grabbing the phone. I do it. Like, oh yeah, it's difficult. It's heavy. Fuck you. Then I'm hating on everybody on Instagram. They're lame. That's my guilty pleasure. But how we speak, not just to others, but to ourselves, right? Are we honest? Are we being honest? Are we being kind, and not just nice, but are we being kind? We come in here, if we're just edgy or whatever, can we be honest with it? I just want to be here. You don't have to be nice or polite. I think there's a difference. Kindness can be like, whew, I just need to be here and not get in a conversation or something, Yeah. And being honest with that. Yeah. How do we relate to ourselves and others? How can we express our needs, what we need in each moment? And we don't know what we need unless we are contemplating our experience to truly know what we need to have support on this journey. Sometimes it's just simple. Sometimes it's big. So this eightfold path, it can be like kind of condensed in these questions I kind of came up with is, what is happening right now in this moment? Like you can ask yourself right now, are we creating suffering? Are you creating more suffering with the story in your mind? And what is it that is contributing to that suffering? Wanting it to be different, wanting that breeze to be more consistent, wanting this chair to be a lounge chair, want my bed, is another way possible. And that's a key one. I think if you can make a change, if you can shift your posture, if you want to lay down, do that kind of thing. I think there's a response in this too. When we know what we need, we don't have to, just because it's called a meditation group, it doesn't need to be all stoic and rigid. I know there's flowers and it's pretty, but there's also graffiti too. I want to make it a little dirty too. And you can lay down, do you. And then that's when we can start investigating, really being curious when we start asking these questions. And that's this practice. It's not just about clearing the mind. It's about being with the mind, taking the power back of the mind, because the mind is very powerful. And it's not a checklist. Again, this eightfold path, this North Star. So even as we're sitting here in our practice tonight, it's encouraging when that thought comes up, there's a reflection, past thing, maybe even something difficult this week. Rather than replaying it, the story over and over, like name the why, know the why, you know the why. But then do this eightfold path of understanding, like your view. How are you really seeing the situation? Is it clear? And sometimes they call it right view or noble, but I like just skillful or wholesome. Like, what's your view on it? Like, what are you really holding on to still? What are some of the assumptions? What part of the story that was like, it's already true, even if you don't have all the information, right? And could there be another way of seeing it, or just holding it, being with it? Skillful intention. What's your intention? What's driving you? What needs to be seen, understood? Like reflecting or trying to protect something or win at something, punish. or just connect, be seen. In anything it's arising, like especially the difficult stuff that, those repetitive things, they play out, especially when we're in this context of giving ourselves space. The more space we give ourselves, the more the mind and the nervous system's like, oh, you can be with that now. So all of a sudden all this shit's coming. You're like, what? I call it the painfully aware stage. In the beginning, we might get a little bit of that samadhi of like, oh, there it is, feet, seat, sounds, breath, and ease. Then there's that spaciousness and all these memories or these things. And it's like, how? So what's our relationship to that arising? And we take action. And the action is just, how are we holding it? How are we turning towards? It doesn't have to be like a fixing or figuring something out. And these are all just reflections, ways that you can see if that's where your North Star is at, contemplating your experience. Whether it's with your livelihood or in the way you're speaking to yourself or others. And what is the effort that we're putting into experience right now? Where is our effort? Where is the energy going? Is it a wasted energy? All right? Is resentment. We're holding on to that resentment. It's a wasted energy. And Buddha talked about picking up a hot coal and trying to throw it at somebody who's getting burned. In our minds, are we kind of rehashing an argument or a discussion? It's like all those things. We just come back to our simple practice of mindfulness. Feet, seat, sounds, breath. Over and over again. And the cool thing about, we come back to our senses. And the Buddha talked about that these thoughts and emotions are like a sixth sense. They're happening, right? So we can see what is our relationship to how we're hearing, how we're seeing, right? There's pleasant, unpleasant, we're pulled in, we're pushing things away. Same with the mind, same with the thoughts and the emotions that are rising, and how much energy is wasted on that. And the other part of this practice is the concentration. And I used to think concentration is like, I need to focus on one thing. And it's not really about just focusing on that. It's just being aware of what's happening right now, right? That's where it's like you stop and smell the flowers. You might notice something that you didn't notice before, right? That's like sometimes coming in here with an intention and we wanting to, this is what I need out of this practice. If we're not just being with experience, we might miss something that we actually really need, or it might be really beautiful, right? So whatever you're doing can be a concentration, doing the dishes, walking down a path. So I guess the point being with all this is just bringing in this part that the mind's going to think, and there's ways that you can be with the mind and the thoughts in a more skillful way than trying to push them away or trying to find this nirvana or blissful place. Because the more we search for that, the further it's going to be. But in that, coming back to presence over and over, having a different relationship with what's arising, the mind kind of gets bored. And within that, there's these little blissful moments. There's these moments of ease. There's those moments that you're taking the pot off the flame, reaching nirvana, right? And I think it was Thich Nhat Hanh that said that in each moment, we can find liberation. Every moment. And it's right here on the exhale. Wow. I think that's my rambling. So we don't need to make this a checklist. Just make it a contemplate the way we're living. What are the behaviors? What are some of the things that you do need some space from? We need to just stop, right? Sometimes we need to stop. I needed to stop drugs and alcohol. Had to. Then I can see my relationship to it. And it wasn't about the drugs and the alcohol. It was something deeper, that wanted some ease, and that was the only way I could find it before. And sometimes now I'll find ease in the most painful moments, the most painful things. It's there. Yeah. And before we take a stretch break or bio break, and reflections from y'all, and try to make something more clear, but I don't know, it's just kind of reading off some notes towards the end there on the Eightfold Path. Yeah, please.
You were talking about dukkha earlier, and one of my favorite translations of dukkha is it's like an imperfect wheel, or like a wheel that has like a flat spot on it, where it's like, as it's like rolling over, there's that noticeable spot where it's do-do, do-do. And to me, that's more like palpable or it's a better suited description than suffering, because suffering's so heavy, dude.
Big, yeah.
Like, it's like I'm not always suffering, like
Yeah.
heavy.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times it's just like there's just something a little bit off.
Yep.
And that's going back to your original inquiry from when we first got here. Like, I think that's what keeps me coming back. Like, I first came to practice because I was suffering. Had a lot to contemplate about when I first came to practice.
A lot to think about. Yeah.
What keeps me coming back is that, like, yeah, there's still just that something.
Yeah.
And it's not big, but it's something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's big, but most of the time it's just a little something.
Yeah, it could be those like 10,000 paper cuts.
Yeah.
It's what it feels like a lot of times for me.
Yeah.
It's like,
I don't even
damn.
know what it is a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at home, it's like, fuck, I just don't feel right. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go meditate.
Yeah. Like that, the wheel, and it's the Eightfold Path, right? It's the wheel, the 8 spokes kind of thing. And it's not a linear thing. And I like that. Yeah, it's kind of sometimes, yeah. And it's where whatever is coming up, you can reflect on. Is it livelihood? Is it the wisdom part of it? More practice, whatever it may be, Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. Yeah. Anybody else?
I just want to say this is a spot on, and taking it all in. I could just briefly touch on conversation I had. I call him my husband, but we're still together. I'm driving my dad's car because I have had 2 DUIs, and I'm working on trying to get myself a vehicle, and all the logistics going into that. And I just quickly got back into I caused this, I had a year of sobriety, back into the story. And then quickly I was able to just see myself going back there. And it's because of the practice. I didn't stay in the sun too long. So I was really grateful for the practice.
Beautiful. And that is the practice, right? It's not about how freaking stoic we are on the seat. It's those reflections, those mundane, oh, there's a shift. I didn't get stuck in the suck. And when we're stuck in the suck, we're reacting and probably creating more suffering.
That was totally,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm able to drive my dad's Mercedes.
Yeah.
Now. How much suffering
Killer.
really is
And you look pretty
suffering.
badass in that thing too. I just want to
Yeah.
say, dude.
Thank you for your talk. It was
Yeah.
really digesting.
Cool. And before we take a break, I'm just going to read, because I kind of was vague on what these eight folds are, the path, the stepping stones, as you will. And they're just like this. These can be contemplative things in your practice as things arise, right? So there's skillful view. I like saying skillful. You can use right, but right means that there's a wrong. I don't know, for me. Or wise. You have to be smart. So skillful. And just skillful. Are we seeing clearly? Are we really seeing clearly what is happening in your direct experience, right? Are we making up? Is it muddled up with static? Just a question, a curiosity. And maybe you are. And then the skillful intention with what is arising, choosing kindness, maybe. Can you be a little bit more kind to what is arising? Compassion is not fixing it. Compassion is just allowing it to be here. Acknowledging, validate your experience. Sometimes I'm just like, fucking ouch, yeah. It's a mantra. Fucking ouch, fucking ouch. But it helps, right? Validate your experience. Skillful speech. Again, that internal dialogue and outward. Can we speak with care? And sometimes care is no, right? Seeing the yes in the no. When we're saying no to something, we're saying yes to something within ourselves, rather than I just need to show up, right? I've been caught in that trap too much. Skillful action, and the action that supports well-being, and the actions, and that's all we own are our actions, how we respond. And action is just a response. Like, it's not an action hero, it's a response to experience, right? Is it leading to that desire that brought you here, to have ease, to peace, whatever it may be? And skillful livelihood is supporting your well-being, right? I mixed that one up. The skillful action is living within our values, right? Is it in line with the way you want to live? And the livelihood's hard, right? We got to do things that sometimes it's just not feeling good, but in our work environment, or can we, with our employees or our co-workers, a little bit more spaciousness, not reactive. Skillful effort, beginning again, this effort of coming back to the cushion, coming back to the breath, coming to the Thursday night group, doing your own practice at home, taking 5 minutes, 3 minutes, time to just feel your feet on the ground. Skillful mindfulness, meeting this moment with curiosity. And just this steady concentration of just knowing what you're doing when you're doing it. Whether you're standing, sitting, laying down, or walking, know that you're doing that. Simple as that. Things to reflect on. Let's take a stretch break, a little bio break, maybe a little short one, and get into some meditation. Talked for way too long. Sorry about that. practice. Now we practice. Now we practice. All right, y'all. So settling into a posture that feels good enough. There is it's definitely not anything in any of the Buddhist teachings that says there's a spiritual posture that you need to be in. So whatever posture feels good, supportive. And again, listening into your needs. If you just want some rest, maybe laying down is something that can support you right now. Eyes open, eyes closed. And just connecting with what's present in this moment. Maybe it's something that you've already come familiar with, the breath, the place to come back to, or points of contact, connecting with the seat or the floor, sounds. This place to remember, this place to arrive. Remembering that in each moment, there's an opportunity to begin again. Thoughts aren't a mistake. It's part of this human experience. And just taking these few moments here just to find that connection, and maybe with the intention of rest. And this practice doesn't have to be anything more than just that. A simple returning. Again and again. If you find the mind ruminating, the to-do list, the not to-do list, past memories. Into this, the lens of skillful view, seeing clearly. Returning to what is clear right now when it's not clear in the mind. These assumptions, these critiques, these habits of the mind. In this moment, this skillful intention of choosing your direction, orienting the heart towards kindness, curiosity, compassion. Softening or letting go. When you notice that tightening up around the pain, the fear, this bracing, this reactivity. As the body breathes, the body rests. In a lot of ways, these folds, this path, it's just ways that we can see how to meet our life off the cushion, off the chair. But as we're in this intentional practice, these things that are weaved in our life, just these causes and conditions, life itself, these stories that arise. Just the simple question of, is this leading towards well-being or just another distraction, another thing that I'm trying to fix or not wanting to feel? And it's okay if it's not wanting to feel the way you feel right now. But can we just acknowledge the tightness or the swirling of emotion or physical pain that's anywhere? As we shift awareness to something that's not experiencing that right now. The feet, the seat, the sounds, the breath. Rest there. We simply notice the discomfort. We name the pain for a moment. We're just experiencing that. We're not that pain. We're not the anxiety. We're not the fear, the worry, the doubt. It's an experience that, just like all things, is ephemeral, comes and goes. If we allow it to. The only thing that feeds it is our story, our relationship towards it. I can see that this suffering is here. And we can see the added suffering on suffering from trying to change it. The shift happens naturally. Pointing towards behaviors that cultivate ease or spaciousness. And the suffering will subside. As we continue to walk this path of awareness, of being with what is, of meeting ourselves in each moment with curiosity. Skillful view, intention, speech, action, livelihood, effort. Begin again. Our practice of direct experience, moment to moment awareness. And engaged with what we are doing when we do it. Concentration. We don't need to force anything. We just point our awareness there. Thank you all. And I just want to really, please forgive me for I spoke way too long. This is something I was trying new, is talking about this Eightfold Path and the Buddhist tradition and kind of a lens. And so I was just trying something on it. Went a little bit longer than I thought. I'll suss it out more. It'll be quicker next time. Get right to the point. Yeah. We used to have usually I like to save some time at the end for y'all. I want to hear y'all, but we got some announcements and then get out of here. Get some announcements. We get a mic for, yeah.
Hello. Is it working? Yeah. Okay. Thanks everyone for practicing with us. Before we wrap up, just a few announcements. Upcoming offerings. We have a number of things happening at the center. We have a bulletin board in the back that has everything. A few things are Connect and Reset is on Tuesdays with Joe here at the center. Starts at 12 to 1:15. Bring your lunch, catch up on a little work, connect with others. At 12:15 to 12:45 is the guided meditation. And Wednesdays are our affinity groups. Next Wednesday is the Sensitive Bros. That's always changing. And that's here at the center, 7 o'clock next Wednesday. And then we have on Sundays is a peer-led meditation at 10 a.m. Led by JP, 10 to 11. We have our last Friday event next Friday. So it's the launching of the last Friday. It's going to be a monthly creative community gathering, enjoying music, poetry, storytelling, art, conversations, and community. You're welcome to share something or simply come and enjoy the evening. We have workshops, day-long practices, retreats, and special guest teachers throughout the year. And you could find that on the bulletin board. You could also get involved. If you'd like to help out here, there are simple ways to get involved, helping us set up before groups, resetting the room afterwards, supporting events, distributing flyers. We started a street team, so that's just flyering around town. If you're interested, come see me or talk to Joe. And yeah, putting chairs away, sweeping at the end of the day. Randy helps out. Chris helps out. She's not here tonight.
So we need somebody to help us do a Swiffer.
We have a Swiffer opening tonight.
Come on up and ask us. You can Swift for us.
And stay connected. If you're not receiving our weekly email, you could sign up for that and follow us on social media. Something we're looking forward to doing is getting 1,000 followers so we could go live. You need to have 1,000 followers on Instagram. And donations and supporting the center. Tonight's group is donation based, was suggested donation $20. And always pay what you can, when you can, if you can. No one is turned away for lack of funds. The Sit.Feel.Heal Meditation Center is a nonprofit. All the donations go directly towards sustaining the center and supporting the offerings, gatherings, and community that happens here. And you could donate at the donation station by card, Venmo, PayPal, or cash. You can also support the center by becoming a monthly or annual donor. We also have another special offering. I'm going to hand it off to Kevin.
Sweet. Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, I'm looking forward to last Friday, and I'm really excited about this upcoming event that we have. The autumn equinox, which typically falls around September 21st. We have an opportunity to celebrate it here at the center on September 19th. And the equinox is basically a time where the path of the sun follows directly across the equator, which means like equal amount of light and dark, day and night, one day where we have that balance. And so we're going to have an opportunity to practice with some equanimity around that balance. It's also a day where we enter into a new season. The days become a little bit shorter. And so we're also going to have an opportunity to practice around impermanence around that idea. We're going to have an altar for the day. So if you are inspired to bring something that you want to bring and offer up to the altar, it's anything that sparks curiosity around letting go. It could be a crystal, it could be a photograph, it could be a letter, whatever that may be. You don't actually have to let it go. You can actually take it home with you at the end of the day, so don't worry about that. Lots of other stuff is kind of still in development. The first part of the day is going to be from 10 to 12. That's going to be the part of the day for practice. And then from 12 to 3, we're going to basically just open it up for a community gathering where we're going to have some catering from Santa Cruz Taqueria. If you want to bring a dish, taco. If you want to bring a dish to share with the group, that is, we welcome that. So come for some of it, come for all of it. And if you can't come at all, we understand, but we would love to see all of your beautiful faces there. Mm-hmm. So if you have any questions, you can talk to Lauren or me about it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
y'all.
Thank
you, Kevin. Appreciate that. Yeah. Well, that is the 19th, yeah.
Saturday.
We'll end with a little offering of merit. I know we're a little over time, but yeah, these community events are really important, and they're free to anyone. Bring a friend. Bring a dish if you want to. It's time for us to open up the space and just hang out. And, if anything, it's kind of like a fundraiser if you want to donate on the 19th or the last Friday event you're open to, but otherwise just come. Looking forward to both these events. More community events. It'd be a fundraiser. I'm punny. I'm a dad. So just taking a moment to reflect on our practice tonight. In the spirit of cultivating goodness or whatever you came here to cultivate. That any goodness that's been generated from your practice sink in to who you are, to the marrow of your being, not just something you do. Let this practice and this gathering not just benefit ourselves, but be for the benefit of all beings. May this goodness ripple out to our friends, our communities, families, this whole world. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be at ease. May all beings take the boiling pot off the flame. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, Jessica's teaching next Thursday. Come hang out with Jessica. It can be awesome.